Okay, that was Mushoku Tensei, Season 1, Episode 3. That was probably the most, slice of life episode we've gotten.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'd say.
It didn't have the mood that last episode had, the additions of some of the past life being kind of threaded in there in terms of showing of trauma.
Yeah. I enjoyed it a lot, though. It was it was very, I could just sit back and hang out and watch, an anime for fun without, thinking too deep about anything and just enjoying what's being given to me.
And it made a lot of sense from the jumping off point from the end of last episode where we ended on this high note. Rudy was feeling really good about himself. He was feeling healed. And all thanks to Roxy, and he really respected Roxy. She was leaving, was gonna miss her, but then we start this episode off and he's like, I am ready to get out of here and go into town and make friends and stand up for people and be strong. And it was so nice to see.
It's interesting because how he handled the bullying situation, there wasn't enough inner monologue for me to be like, oh, he's being very intellectual and deliberate about what he's doing. Because he does think that way for some things, But what he did, what his actions were very, good and righteous and, what me as a viewer would deem as correct in that situation. You're getting bullied 3v1. People are throwing rocks at you, this girl for nothing. Then you come over. You're not beating them up. You're just throwing water at them.
You're throwing water at them. So that has 2 points I want to bring up. One, did one of the friends just punch the kid so there was an actual bruise? Because I'm did that water really actually bruise that kid in such a visible way?
Maybe his mom hit him to discipline him for getting beat up by
Paul's son, and wanted a reason to be able to go to Paul's house. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past these bullies that maybe they wanted to go complain and they wanted to get Rudy in trouble, so then they made it look like Rudy had actually, because they walk away.
Yeah.
They walk away.
Yeah. And we know they didn't stop messing with him.
Not very injured, it seems. The other thing that I liked what you said was, and now I need to remember what it was again.
I was saying, there's some times through Rudy's character so far, he's doing right things, but without...
He tries to... What I was going to go for was this idea that he tries, with his consciousness of this person with a previous life, to formulaically say things to get a certain response, or what he thinks he should say in these situations from, lived experience. He thinks that he can appear as a good kid and say the right things to his parents. And it's funny because we get that in this episode, this kind of confidence that I know how to play this. I play dating sims, And then we realize towards the end of the episode that he actually doesn't know truly how to talk to people or the intricacies and complexities of real true connection with people.
Yeah.
Sylph isn't just a character in a game and you have 3 choices of what to say to her, And she's not just a computer character. She is a person who is going to feel in ways that might be unpredictable for Rudy.
Whether Rudy has thought about it or not, and I'm going to lean with not thinking about it, he has already taken steps to stop the creation of himself in another person. He has stopped what caused him to become such a isolated, morally fucked up, potentially person. He sees what drove him down a path where he decided to make choices that, put him where he was. And sees that a lot of it seemed to stem from bullying at first. And he saw someone else being bullied and immediately,
for that person. It's the first episode, the line we were left with that I absolutely loved and probably said too many times last episode was that he was going to get serious about living. Meaning he wanted to live a good, authentic, happy life since he was given the chance, to start over in this really awesome, magical world with powers. And he can take his past experience and his past trauma and he can heal from it, and he can also use it to see I don't want to live that way again. I want to make sure I have a happy life. I have friends, people to care
but he
for.
doesn't. You know, like, his actions may be proceeding that way, but knowing how much monologue is given in morally worse situations, then it makes me believe the reason he's doing these things is not as well thought out as, you know, to give him credit for them.
Do you think the monologuing might trickle? You know, that maybe it's going to be really heavy as this consciousness in this new world, getting used to it, still with a lot of the baggage and kind of ways of thinking of the previous person.
Yeah.
And as the life progresses and as connections are made, that we might hear that monologuing less and less.
Maybe less and less. Maybe the monologuing will start delving into more serious matters that don't, you know, pertain to, like, being, like, perverted. Like, I feel like most of the time we hear the monologue here, it's either, when I say perverted, actually, that was a really bad choice of words, because I don't mean it in the fan servicey type of way alone. I mean perverted as in perverted intentions.
Like manipulative, maybe?
Yeah, manipulative. And using your past knowledge to, like...
outsmart your parents. You know, like, you're an adult, was what he said to Paul. It's like, oh, is that how adults are?
Yeah, but he also had the line of, like, this isn't gonna help Paul either. They're being very deliberate.
Which a 5-year-old truly would not be like, what could I say? It's almost like he was thinking of Paul as the true victim in this scenario, and that he needed to help Paul out to understand the situation, because Paul would be the one that suffers in the end.
Well, obviously, I know Paul just, like, smacked his kid. But in a lot of ways, like, I wrote down in the moment while it was still going on, neither of them are right. But Paul, in a lot of ways, is somebody who can never win. Like, the best Rudy is trying to do for Paul, I think, is somehow give him the illusion of winning and give him the illusion of being a good parent at the end of the day. And that's not morally, like, the most righteous route, right? The most righteous route could potentially be, like, coming clean, but, like, that's not an option. What are you gonna do with that? Like, what?
Paul, I am actually a 34-year-old, and I
am older than you are.
Like, I am older than you are, and I used my wisdom to kind of force your hand into an apology when you were disciplining me. I don't know. Honestly,
though, it's really compelling. I'm finding myself, like, really enjoying the dialogue, though, and the back and forth, and, like,
I love, like, Paul and Rudy specifically, their back and forth. It's it is interesting that this, like, 5-year-old somewhat teaching his father, I guess, how to properly parent, or in Rudy's eyes properly parent, because obviously it would be biased to what Rudy thinks Paul should be doing.
Rudy also had a line of, like, oh, you have no chance of winning at this. This is, like, what I'm used to doing in my previous life.
So, like, cocky.
But then he said,
no parental love.
But then he said, although in this time I am completely in the right. And that, like, in the actuality of the situation, which makes me worried that there have been previous times he has used the same method when he wasn't actually in the right to be able to get what he wanted, you know?
I could see it. I mean, especially if we're going this, like, way of, like, a dating sim, you don't necessarily pick the answers that you would actually pick as a person. You pick the answers that you think would manipulate the correct path or response with that character in this dating sim.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, some people probably play it authentically, but, like...
Yeah, I don't know who those people would be, though. That's weird.
I like to have control of things.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, I really liked, to go back a little bit, back to Sylphiette.
Sylphie.
Do you think that she is half superb?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I did think it was funny that she was like, my parents, I don't look like either of them. And then we saw her parents and she really, truly didn't.
Well, she has the half elf in her.
Half elf, but I'm like...
a different mother, perhaps, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go a different father, but I think the father was the elf and the mom wasn't.
Correct.
So then that, like, complicates things.
Yeah.
But I'm in love with the elf ears. I also love the, like, curl of the hair right behind her ears. I'm like, the design is so good. I don't want Sylph to grow Sylph's hair out. thank you.
Sylph doesn't want to grow Sylph's hair out.
And
but
I'm like,
I like
power
when
to
the
you.
ears wiggled, like it
I
was
know.
in what's that witch movie, Bewitched or whatever?
Yeah, like the little nose wiggle.
Yeah, that was cute. I wonder, like, I make the correlation of the red gems being the eyes.
I mean, we were told it by Roxy as
But it's his
somewhat of
forehead.
a folklore
Yeah.
of sorts, and we got this imagery of actual, like, folklore or
Yeah.
mystery or, I don't know, what would you call it? A story from the past?
They're
It's
like
not even
legends,
real. Legends,
right? Or,
that's the word, thank you.
I don't even know if it is a legend, though, because it seems to be, like, so closely based in... It's like an exaggerated... potentially exaggerated event from history that has grown into like a nightmare monster that maybe it isn't.
I was going like they were using a visual reference to us, the viewers, of a legend existing in our world.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really love the casual use of magic so far, and especially in this episode.
The
It was
blow
the first time I
dryer.
saw it. The blow dryer was
dryer.
amazing.
Using the water and then the fire.
Him like putting air on his stomach too to, I think, cool down or whatever. Like, I was like, this is amazing. I love it.
Awesome.
So what do you think it means for Sylph that they can also use magic without incantations? Is that a Sylph thing? Is that a
further evidence of
superb
Sylph
thing?
actually being this race of demons?
Or can anyone do it?
Either Rudy is an amazing teacher and really put how to do it into words. You know, like he was worried, like, how do I describe to someone what I do so, like, naturally into words for them to replicate? And I'm like, either he's an amazing teacher already, or I think we could go a place like that's evidence that Sylph is superb.
Yeah.
The one demon that Roxy was like, stay away from, they'll kill your whole family. Because if you go, they'll kill your whole family, it could do that, you know, takes you in the segue of mass destruction, which could also go with the fact that Sylph learned really quickly and was really strong.
Yeah.
With the magic, and also doesn't have to do incantations. So maybe they're just like a really fearsome foe.
Yeah. This, a lot of this episode, based on their, like, nudity humor, reminded me of original Dragon Ball and how they handled it. And it's an interesting...
I've only seen episode 1 of original Dragon Ball.
Yeah?
But you have told me stories
of
some of the scenes.
I think that you are able to up comedy in a story and get away with more if the character who is doing these things that is, like, you know, reprehensible don't realize what they're doing is wrong.
Okay.
And, you know, that they are... It's still, like, obviously the most, like, saturated degree here, but it was genuinely, he didn't know.
And it's interesting to have that in, like, this dynamic with a character who does, you know, have a holy relic in their room.
Yeah.
And that truly in this moment, there is an innocence here.
Yeah, agreed. We got the name, the last name, the surname. Gray Rat?
Gray Rat, yeah.
Gray Rat, I think. Did you say Grey Heart?
Yeah, but
That's
I think
more
it's
noble.
Grey Rat, yeah. Grey Rat does not. Maybe I wanted it to be Grey Heart because it sounds like the knight that's protecting this village. But, you know, rats are plentiful and...
I have a question for you.
Intimidating.
Are you a knight that's sent to a village to protect it from low-level monsters as a reward or a punishment? Or neither?
Oh, I like that. I like going that possible route of, like, you're demoted and you're not going to be on, like, the front lines actually, like, doing something, like, awarded with lots of, like, fame and money or, like, high prestigious positions. You're like, hey, go to this little village over there and protect them from low-level monsters. Because Roxy told us there's only going to be, like, really low-level monsters around.
Or you've earned your freedom, like, by doing a certain act or, like, you know, doing something righteous or noble.
You've earned a peaceful life.
Yeah.
Almost.
Where you can settle down.
Where you could settle down in safety and start a family while still have a financial means to support you. I'm sure he gets some type of payment from the village for this protection. And obviously the women of the village like to make up any excuse to come visit him. Probably
Understandable.
because of the cuffs on his ears, the gold cuff earrings. That's probably one of the main reasons
Like,
that they
one of
want to
the
see him.
draws.
One of the draws to
Yeah.
him, yeah.
I have to say, the more I look at Lilia's hair, the more I'm like, that's not just like a slight red. It seems like it's like a, I don't know. I could see Lilia being a demon.
I am still torn because I feel like they could be trying to say that's a natural hair color.
Yeah.
But I also am thinking that it's a possibility because why? Either Lilia reacted to Sylph walking in because Lilia realized Sylph was a girl, or Lilia reacted to Sylph because of how Sylph looks. So I'm like, maybe there's something there, but I'm thinking Lilia probably might have suspected, like, is Rudy's friend a girl?
Yeah.
You know, as Rudy was walking upstairs.
I love the art style in this show. It reminds me of if like what I imagine like if The Legend of Zelda had like an actual anime series nowadays fleshed out. You know what I
I
mean?
could see that.
But I'm actually really enjoying the show so
I
far.
am too.
And like I know that I think that default, especially based off of the shows that we've been recently watching too.
It's very different.
I tend to go into this mindset of like trying to be serious and breaking down things, and I don't know if that's entertaining or if that's fun.
If that's a good watching and viewing experience for this show.
But at the end of the day, like that's where my brain goes sometimes, and regardless of that, like I'm having a blast so far. 3
having
episodes
a good time. I am also having a good time, hence why I wore somewhat yellow, which I think is like my reference color for this show. I tried to, I was like, I made a thumbnail earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna match the show's energy a little bit. I think I probably have like one more thing that I'd like to say, which is kind of something. I don't know how many things you have.
Oh, I just won 2, so you can go
Whoa,
first. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I timed that perfectly. I just wanted to say that I know we're not sure necessarily all of the time if Rudy's language choices and the way that Rudy speaks to people, if they're all innocent or if some of them are slightly manipulative, maybe. Because of past experience and past knowledge. But I would like to say that I have been really liking some of the word choices in reference to making connections specifically to female characters in this show. With Roxy, we got this, like, how much he respected Roxy. I'm just talking about word choices and dialogue. No, like, hidden other things. No, yeah, but then he has a holy relic in his room. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm purely just talking about words. I liked that there was respect in the language. And then when he was talking about Sylph's friendship, he used the word cherish. And so I'm really liking and hoping that that is like a true feeling of Rudy's. That since it was a monologue and not words he was saying to another person at the time, that is truly how he feels, that he wants to cherish this relationship and this connection that he's making currently in his new life.
I take it as real in the sense of him wanting to make this new life something to be, like this is his chance.
Proud of, happy with, to enjoy and to really get to like, one of the best parts of life is to find like connection.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And have those personal relationships that obviously we know this character was lacking, both from friendship and romantic. This is his do-over. I think he's learning a lot about himself.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to say is this show sucks. No Caravaggio. L. Never watching it again. I'm kidding. But fun. Good show.
Fun.
Rudy's choice of words, especially describing his own dick, and like his word choice.
He thought that Sylph was just really embarrassed by their bottom half.
The consistency in the character writing is something to be appreciated, like in the inner monologue and the changing.
I also knew that, what should he have said to Sylph? Because I had said during the episode, oh, just tell her that you thought she was a boy. And that was my first thought. But I obviously, that was somewhat maybe not the best way to phrase it because she cried and then she left and he didn't see her for a while.
I think it 100% was the right decision to
it was, I always say honesty is the best policy. Yeah. So.
And it got his intention across to show that he wasn't being malicious or,
Yeah, he wasn't Yeah.
For the first time in the show, he wasn't trying to be,
Right.
you know? Like...
So, I mean, so hopefully his friendship with Sylph, now that he does know, continues on a certain path. I don't know if it will, but obviously this adds some element in there that I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to say. He had a childhood friend that was a girl, and apparently she's married now.
Yeah?
That's what he said.
Oh, true. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I like how, like, even in bath time, he doesn't take off the necklace Roxy gave him.
I thought that was the holy relic when he said holy relic, and then I learned differently.
All right, that's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.
Doesn't the book kind of look like the Enchiridion from Adventure Time?
If the character who is doing these things that is, like, you know, reprehensible, if the character who is doing these things that is, like, you know, reprehensible,
reprehensible